Hey guys, and I am impromptuly, is that the right word? It is now. I am impromptuly making a video, and I am now at a pick and pull yard here in York because I need some parts for mine and Catherine's BMW, no surprise. I need hopefully a radio for hers because the screen is very pixelated, a steering wheel for mine because it's worn and really grubby, and I need the rear latch of the top glass for Catherine's car because that is broken. So I am gonna go and salvage some parts from some cars here, so come on, let's go. Right, that was all right, I suppose. I managed to get a steering wheel for my car, and what else did I get? Oh, a radio for Catherine's, so the display on that one should be good. But no latch for a Touring. There was only one E91 Touring out there in the wild, and it had the glass already stripped, so no luck whatsoever there. Maybe another time. Maybe we'll go check the U-Pull lot in Scotland. Until then, I'm going to road trip all the way back home for the next hour 40 minutes. So yeah, let's hit the road. All right, day 2. Or should I say, just the next day. Right, I want to go ahead and fit these new things to the BMW first. So I really want to put that new steering wheel in because the old one is really grubby and horrible. So let's just get to it. Well, this is the new steering wheel. I say new, that I got from the salvage yard yesterday. Definitely a lot better condition than my old one. Well, I have already disconnected the battery in the BMW. Like so. That way nothing deploys. Because the last thing you need is your airbags going off when you're busy fiddling with them. So, let's go ahead and swap a steering wheel out. And I'll show you guys a little trick to get a steering wheel airbag out of a BMW. Well, at least an E90 platform BMW. Before we start, we're going to start with the steering wheel itself. Now, when removing these steering wheels, there's obviously 3 screws you need to undo to remove this cover. One here, here, and here. Access them via the back. Little security torque screws. And they will remove this cover over here. And if you have a look in the steering wheel itself, there are these little metal tabs here and here. Now the steering wheel airbag fits into place like so and locks in to these little guides here. So once you've undone these 3 screws and removed the plastic cover, the easiest thing to do is to get a screwdriver on the side and push a little tab here inward. And one side of the airbag will pop up, and then do the same on the other to remove the entire airbag. Now I'm going to do this obviously on time-lapse, so you guys get an idea of it, but just for technical know-how, that's how you're going to do it. Right, just a few little things. The screws on the back here, these little security bits, they are a T20, for anyone interested. These over here are a T27, and they just hold in this little plate which essentially secures the airbag. I did switch this off camera for mine because the one on the replacement steering wheel didn't hug my airbag as close to the steering wheel as I would have liked, so it fits in nicely with my original back plate. So that's a T27 for anyone wondering. That is a normal 16mm, and for the little earth screw over there, that is a T10. When reinstalling your steering wheel, you can see a handy little mark over there, and it lines up with a little tab on the steering wheel. I'm just going to slide it off, and you can see that little line on the steering wheel. Once those line up, splines lock it in, and it quite easily just fits right back into place. And that's where you bolt it up, so you know your steering wheel will sit straight. Alright, new steering wheel installed, and that looks so much better than the old one. I mean, the old one you can see where it had like worn through, and it was kind of tacky and grubby, and as soon as your hand got hot, it kind of like left black marks all over your hand the whole time, where the rubber was like falling apart. So I am so glad to have this in place, and time to go reconnect the battery. I have used the original airbag that came with the car, so for all intents and purposes the car shall see nothing different. So let's go power it up and hope it doesn't blow up. This should be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, the moment of truth. Come here, cable. And all the airbag didn't detonate, so it's a win. Okay, now with my steering wheel in place, I feel a lot better going on a road trip now with the car. Because, yeah, like I mentioned, it was just really horrible having the steering wheel just get all like tacky and in your hand. So, nice second-hand steering wheel, good quality, so much better. I mean, also a huge plus is that the airbag didn't explode. I mean, I wasn't worried that much. I mean, technically nothing should have gone wrong, but always in the back of your mind, you're always like, did I do this correctly? But I mean, it's literally like 2 earths and a connector plug, so if you manage to mess that up, then you probably shouldn't be working on cars. Alright, it is Friday, and Friday evening to be specific. Tomorrow, Kath and myself leave for a trip up to Edinburgh, so that's going to be a good 2, nearly 3 hour trip, and I need to make sure my BMW is ready for it. Mainly because, one, last weekend when I went down to York, I had the oil light pop up. I stopped at the nearest Halfords, filled it up, but still the car seems to be chewing a bit of oil. So, for that particular reason, I have got a new crankcase breather ventilation valve thing. And number 2, I have a suspected coolant leak, because today the car complained about coolant, and I threw a little bit of water in. I know, not fantastic, but a little water versus the wrong coolant is a lot better. Anyway, I did pick up coolant. I did notice that there was a bit of a wet patch on the under tray obviously when looking from the bonnet down onto the under tray of the BMW. That could also just be condensation, you know, the water leaking from the air conditioner, because it is a lot hotter at the moment now. So it could be that. It could just be circumstantial, that it's just time to top up the coolant. But I want to check the coolant now that the car's cooled and see if it's dropped any, and also just have a look around the engine bay and just see what's going on. So it's 7 o'clock. I need to quickly change this crankcase breather out, and hopefully I can take the intercooler out as well and quickly give it a clean, because I think the oil blow-by from the old crankcase breather is a problem, because if you look on the inside, or the intake side of the turbo, it's actually got a bit of oil residue, and that's obviously blow-by coming from the crankcase ventilation system. So, and that's obviously one of the symptoms of it getting bad. So new one. And I'm going to start rambling because I actually need to get this done. So I'm going to throw you guys on time lapse and let's go. Right, now that over there is our crankcase breather, so which means I need to do this the proper way and take off the covers there, there and there, and then pull these two arms off here and here. And to do that you need to take this cover off here. So once again, to the time lapse. Right, so this is the old one. If you look down in there, it seems to be in rather bad condition. Looks like the valve or whatever goes on in there is stuck, and the rest of it's just a bit Yeah. I mean, if we compare that to the new one, yeah, it doesn't look like it's all gummed up like the old one. Because, as I was mentioning, you can see the oil build up there, and then if you look down there on the turbo, you can see a little bit of oil there on the intake of it. And subsequently, I've got all this oil down here. It seems to be coming out of that charge pipe as well. Yeah, that's not great. I definitely think this old valve is needed to change quite a while ago. Yeah, it's a bit of a better look there. And then, what is that puddle? It's definitely water or something. It's not oil. I mean, the AC compressor's there. And I think the dryer and everything sits behind there. So, I can't see a leak from the thermostat or hoses over here, and nothing from the top here back and from the expansion tank. So there's definitely something causing that moisture. Still as full as I left it off. So maybe it was just time for a coolant top off, and I am just worrying about excess water coming from the air conditioner. Anyway, I'll monitor it, seeing as I can't find any obvious leak at the moment. I mean, can't see any damage or any obvious leaks to the radiator itself. That'll only present itself when it gets worse, I imagine. Oh well, let's put this thing back together. Yeah, I'll definitely say not my proudest moment having to pry this cover off to get it out the way, but unfortunately the bolt round the back, as you could see earlier in the time lapse, gave me a bit of a trouble. And the head is damaged, so I can't get it out at the moment. So until I figure out a way to do that, I had to just pry it out the way. But we can go ahead and put everything back in place and bolt it back up and get this thing running. That's all done. Our brand new separator is in place, so our crankcase ventilation system will work. That's a good result for an hour and 10 minutes. And I mean, you guys were along for the whole thing on time lapse, so you can kind of get a feel for yourself for how quick it is. Well, I am going to check the oil, check the coolant, and leave it at that. So, I think we're going to pick up the next part of this in Edinburgh, because we're going to go visit the U-Pull yard there and see if we can find this elusive rear glass hatch for Catherine's car. Well, I'm going to leave it here. I will see you guys in a few seconds for you, but for me it's going to be a whole road trip and another maybe couples adventure video, who knows. Later, I'll see you then. Right, it's Tuesday, back from Scotland, and the coolant leak is still persistent. Yeah. As you can see from the copious amounts of fluid there, it's definitely leaking in this vicinity, but the pipes, however, the expansion tank, are all dry. My only suspicion is that it's the coolant plug at the bottom of the radiator that has somehow worked itself loose, because that's the only other thing in that area that could be causing this. So I'm going to just remove the tray and find out what's going on. So yeah, let's get to it. Well, after about 10 minutes of investigation, I've taken the plastics off, dropped the intercooler a little, and as you can see, a steady stream of water leaking out of the radiator plug. Well, that's the cause of it. Now let's hope I can figure out how to stop it. Well, it seems to have worked itself loose somehow. Not too sure how it did that, but thank goodness the intercooler was underneath it and stopped it from loosening itself all the way out. Yeah, speaking of, I've dropped the intercooler out and just cleaned the necessary pipes. I was trying to put my hand in the way there, getting this reflection off. And yeah, I can at least monitor what the pipes are like in a few weeks' time and see whether there's any more oil residue floating about. I mean, it should be taken care of now. Car driving past, or bike in this case. So that should be taken care of with the new crankcase ventilation breather, and that should be hopefully the end of my all oiled up intercooler issues. And I am going to have a look and see whether there's just something horribly wrong with this plug. I think to be safe I'm going to order another one, because I don't need that thing falling out and just causing problems further down the line. So that seems to be that sorted. I'm just going to start the car quickly without the intercooler connected back in and just see what happens when the system builds a bit of pressure, whether it's going to start leaking again. And that way at least I know whether it's sort of solved or not. So I might have to drop this all again this weekend and put the new plug in and drain the system, bleed it all, fill it back up. So I was hoping I can change the plug quick enough that I still got enough coolant left in. The good news, it's not leaking anymore. So yeah, it's a sort of win, but I'm not going to leave it like that. I think I'll get a new plug anyway, because if it's come loose once for some arbitrary reason, it's probably going to do it again, and I don't fancy it doing that again. So, well, there we go. That is where I suspected something hit the car. I thought it was near the radiator, but obviously not. It was there. Yeah, there was some object on the road I couldn't avoid. And sharp piece of metal, something or other. Metallic, but yeah, it flew up and hit the underside of the car. And shortly after that I started to get the leak, so I was hoping it hadn't damaged the radiator. Thank goodness it hadn't damaged the radiator, but it must have been a sizable shock if it had hit this entire thing, broke there and maybe knock the screw loose. Seems a bit odd, but coincidental. Literally the next day I started having coolant warning lights coming up on the car, so let's get the last of this leftover coolant off. There we go. While I'm doing this, I may as well fit the new, getting snagged by the Supra, new little storage bin for the car, because literally as I was leaving on Saturday, the other one decided to break. The little storage bin that sits on the driver's side near the door, the little latch mechanism decided to break and no longer close. So I picked that one up from the salvage yard while I was there, and a new intake cover because the bolt on mine is stripped. So I'll fit the intake thing probably this weekend when I check how the coolant is staying in the car or not, and I should fit that new little storage thing now, because the other one, yeah, I kind of just ripped the door off because it was rather painful. If anyone knows, when you got one of these BMWs, that little flap is open, the sharp edge catches you on the knee or on the thigh, it really digs in and cuts you. So yeah, to avoid getting cut, I kind of just broke it off, because I knew I was going to a scrapyard. I could just grab another one. So I mean, not bad. Got both those parts and some other little random pieces for like £6, so definite save. Car going past. Right, I think I'm going to end this video off here. Well, you join me underneath the car for one last time, hopefully. The new drain plug is in, because the old one is out. Looks like the old one kept popping out of place, because if you can see over here, there's supposed to be little wings in place which protrude out a little, and they actually stop the entire plug from coming out, because the radiator's got a little like slot on each side where the little tabs or wings slot up and then lock into place, and obviously this one's missing them. So as the radiator system built up pressure, it just forced this little guy out just enough so it would sit on top of the intercooler underneath, and then start leaking all the coolant out. But now that one is locked in place, so end of my coolant leaks. It's been enough of me rambling, and until next time, you guys stay awesome, have a great weekend, and I'll see you then.